Hey, good morning, everyone. We will be starting the webinar in about a minute. Thank you. Hello, good morning, and very warm welcome to everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, we are starting the webinar. This webinar is a knowledge session on MySQL Heatwave. Myself, Vinay Gupta, representing Path Infotech, and I would be your host for next 60 minutes or so. So today's topic is MySQL Heatwave. MySQL Heatwave is a cloud service with built-in high performance in-memory query accelerator. This webinar is a 4-part webinar series of knowledge sessions. Today we would be giving you an overview of the overall MySQL Heatwave, and then in the upcoming session we'll do a drill down on some of the key features and functionalities of MySQL Heatwave. Today we'll be also having a demo. I will be sharing you later the dates of the other webinars topic which will be covered. So some of the general housekeeping rules. The lines, audience lines will be muted, and we would definitely want you to be interactive. So if you have any opinions or questions, keep pouring in while the presentation and the demo is going on. And towards the end of this session, we will have a Q&A session where we'll be taking up your questions and opinions. There is a recording available, so we would be sharing the recording link post the completion of the webinar. Now, coming to our distinguished guest today on the speaker panel, we have Perside Foster. Perside is a MySQL Principal Partner Solution Engineer at Oracle MySQL. Perside has the responsibility of driving the development and adoption of MySQL Heatwave across the globe. She works with Oracle sales teams, other solution engineers, as well as the partners to help develop the finest solutions based on Oracle's MySQL Heatwave offering. Hey, Perside, I want to say hi to the audience.
Hello, welcome to our webinar. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day today to spend the next hour with us. I hope that you'll walk away from this webinar knowing a lot more about MySQL Heatwave and wanting to use it.
Thank you, Perside. Let me just quickly give a overview about the agenda. So as I said earlier, we will be giving you an overview of the new HeatWave features, talk in detail about how HeatWave helps you do in one single database, the OLTP, OLAP, and ML all together. We'll talk a little bit about the in-database machine learning with MySQL Heatwave. We'll also be kind of showcasing you how you can have MySQL Heatwave in beyond Oracle Cloud in AWS and also through Azure. We'll also talk about the HeatWave Lakehouse feature, which allows to do querying and using any non-relational database objects also. Besides that, we'll showcase a success story, how Path delivered for one of our customers, along with how we make it happen. And then of course the real action of the giving a demonstration, we Perside would be building a small application using Apex and MySQL. So in a nutshell, that's what is it. I'm giving control to my speaker, Perside. Thank you, Perside. Welcome again to session.
Okay, let me share my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes, please.
You see it?
Please, we can see it. Yeah, we can see that.
All right, let's get started. Since the very beginning of time, we have been recording information that is important to us. If it's something we want to remember, something we want to use for later, something that will help us manage our life better, we've been writing it. We wrote it on walls, on papers, spreadsheets, and now the most powerful recording system of all, the database. And today, like I said earlier, we will be focusing on the most written to database of all, MySQL. I know you've heard it before, but I'm going to repeat it. MySQL is the world's most popular open source database. And I got a feeling you probably use it at one time in your life. You're not the only one that uses MySQL. Students use it, small companies uses it, teachers and big companies, they use MySQL for their social system, e-commerce, tech, finance, manufacturing, and we are really using it for healthcare these days. You'll find MySQL in a student's laptop. I work with a couple of students that's taking MySQL as a course for their computer science classes. They have MySQL on their laptop. You will also find it in a company's data center. And of course, it's in the cloud. And it is called a database service. Oracle has its own MySQL database service, and we will talk about it for the remaining hour. First of all, I want to tell you a little bit more about the Oracle Cloud, where the MySQL database service is sitting. First of all, Oracle Cloud, we call OCI, is a modern platform that is based on the latest cloud technologies. Oracle has designed this cloud with security in the core. This is why any application, any product you use in OCI has the highest security, and we give it to you at no extra cost. OCI has all the service a developer, a DBA need, or anyone need to build and run their applications or do analytic checking and so on. It can scale your service, your system quickly with our on-demand infrastructure system. Now, let me explain how MySQL and OCI work together. First of all, the name of our MySQL database service on OCI is simply MySQL Heatwave. MySQL Heatwave is fully managed by the Oracle Cloud engineer, the people who created MySQL. And it's managed to improve productivity by automating time-consuming tasks such as managing high availability, managing patching, upgrades, and backup. And here's the thing, before, developers would have to wait for the DBA to create their database before they can do their, develop new product, test it out, and so on. Prototypes, well, they don't have to wait anymore because MySQL Heatwave, automatically, they just go in there, quickly click, and they can build their database, which I'll show you in my demo. Now, because MySQL Heatwave is built, managed by the engineers, we also support MySQL. In other words, if you're having a problem with MySQL Heatwave, you just call our support people and we'll take care of you. That is not possible on other database services. So now I want to tell you a little bit more about MySQL Heatwave. Let's go ahead and get started. I want to tell you about how, since the initial release of MySQL Heatwave, the MySQL engineering team has continuously added high level of high functionality to MySQL Heatwave. And they do it at a regular cadence. They create the functionality, highly test it, make sure it's working very well with OCI and for the client, and then we release it whenever we do an upgrade, which is very regular. These functionalities that I am talking about include autopilot, scaling, security, and elasticity service. The MySQL engineers have also created some extremely powerful HeatWave products. They are high performance in-memory query accelerator. That's the one that allows us to do analytics. Then we've also integrated machine learning to MySQL Heatwave. And then you can move your MySQL Heatwave into any cloud. We give it Multicloud. And then this is our newest and latest product, MySQL Heatwave Lakehouse. I'm going to stop now because my partner, PEF Infotech, wants to do a poll. So I'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a quick poll. We just want to understand if you are using MySQL and which version. So I would appreciate if you can kind of select the right options presented here. There are the results, and I think as per our experience, there is a whole lot of people who are yet not kind of introduced to MySQL and they have not seen the benefits of it. I hope this session will help you give a sense about it, the solid reasons why MySQL to be used, and let's take it from there.
Want me to keep going?
Yes, please.
I hear that many of you don't know about the benefits of MySQL. This is not good. Well, for the next hour, I am going to tell you about the benefits of MySQL Heatwave on OCI. And the main reason I want to do that is because I believe, and so many other industry experts and customers believe of database services, believe that MySQL is the best database system for all of your applications. Now, because it's the best, I think you should use the best. Therefore, I want you to choose MySQL Heatwave for your existing and new database applications. So now, why should you choose MySQL Heatwave? Well, this is where it comes in. I'm going to give you three main reasons. The first reason I'm going to give you is simplicity of transaction. I'm going to do a brief dive very quickly. I'm going to give you an overview of all the major MySQL Heatwave products that we have available that can make your life, your developers' life, and your DBA's life easier and make your clients happy. So let's go ahead and get started. One of the reasons MySQL is so popular by everyone is because developers love that it is, and DBAs, they love that it is easy to use, it's reliable, and it is super fast. But it is only super fast for online transaction applications. We call it OLTP. You know, you go ahead, you write to your, you have your application, let's say it's an airline reservation system, say, hey, look for the routes that I need to go to, you select it, you do a reservation quickly, it's created, you can come, update, or you could delete. That's OLTP, that's his job. However, when you want to report on your application, when you want to report on your application, your reservation application, you run into problems because MySQL was not built for online analytic transactions. In other words, that does lots of grouping, joins, data, and everything, and then you could do charts. It doesn't do it well at all. It is extremely slow for that. It wasn't built for that. So then people who are using, in fact, because companies these days, they can just rely on OLTP applications. They also need OLAP applications for their reporting and so on. So what they've been doing is this. They take their data from their Aurora Cloud database, and they would create an ETL, which is extract, translate, and load, to Redshift or any other analytic database. Okay, here's the problem. When they load this data, first of all, it takes a while to write this application. And usually they run it once or twice a day. So by the time the data is in the database, you know, the analytic database, it is still. What do I mean by still? Well, for example, let's say you have your banking application. Jim goes to the bank and he says, okay, he deposits $1,000. Okay, $1,000, OLTP, created it, everything is fine. That happened at 1 p.m. the day before. Let's say today, at 5 a.m., you run your ETL. In other words, take the data out of Aurora and move it to a Redshift. Well, what happens is this. Jim decides to go to the bank at around 9 a.m. and he takes $500 out of the bank. So now, when you look at the OLTP application, it shows that he has $500 in the bank. However, when you run the report, it says he has $1,000. Now, that's a big problem. And let's not talk about the other things that could happen. You have security problems, taking data from one place to another. And then we also have to worry about cost saving. Listen, if you are using 2 databases instead of 1, of course you're going to be paying extra money, probably way more than double the cost. There's got to be a better way to do this. And this is called MySQL Heatwave. MySQL Heatwave is the only database service that delivers fast performance for both analytic transaction and OLTP. So you don't have to do ETL, move your data to another database, and you don't have to worry about Jimmy in the reporting having $1,000 when he should be having $500, because this is how MySQL Heatwave works. Let's say the online transaction at the bank goes ahead and deposits the $1,000 for Jim. It automatically gets replicated to the analytics system, our cluster. It's called our cluster analytic. And then the moment that happens, that information is ready for reporting. Now, when Jim comes back and take away the $500, guess what? That piece of data is automatically replicated to the cluster. And this is why MySQL Heatwave is so amazing. You don't have to move your data to any other database, and you save money because you're only using one database that keeps your data the same, no stale data, so you can rely and trust whatever value you get from your reporting or from your online transaction application. MySQL Heatwave does more. Let me tell you, it also does machine learning. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about machine learning in a little while. First, I want to highlight that when you have your data, when you move your product or create your new product on MySQL Heatwave on OCI, we give you a console. And from that console, you can do so many things besides building your HeatWave database. You can monitor it. You can go ahead and create the clusters, add nodes to clusters to do your analytics performance or your machine learning performance. And on top of that, right there from the console, you can connect to the MySQL, any of your schema. You can read it, identify all the schemas that are in the database instance, and you can actually run SQL queries, which I'll show you later on. But let's talk about machine learning. These days, machine learning is a big deal. Everyone wants it. However, it's not as easy as you think it is. But that doesn't stop CIOs, CTOs from wanting it, because for them, they say when you have machine learning in your product, well, you get a faster response from the customers, the competitors, regulators, and partners. And also, they say it reduces costs because machine learning gives you detailed, important, up-to-date information. And also, machine learning can help you think better because machine learning actually look at your data and also give you advice on how to make it better for your client. Now, okay, this is good. And here's another big deal. According to research, a year from now, about 75% of businesses will be adopting machine learning. They'll be trying to put machine learning in their products. Are you ready for it? Well, here's the deal. Companies who are doing machine learning these days, they're not very successful. Why? Because machine learning is hard and it is extremely expensive. First of all, again, if you're not using HeatWave, MySQL HeatWave, you need a second database service that handles machine learning, or you need to put it somewhere in the cloud or in your server in the house. That's ETL. Again, you're managing two systems and you're paying for it. And then there are so many steps you have to follow. You need experts to do it. And also, most of the time, machine learning uses Python. So if your people don't know Python, they have to use it. And you also need a data scientist in-house that understands statistics. It's good and is good at math. And then when you have your model built, you have to constantly rebuild it. And again, you have to keep moving data. And on top of that, when you do get the response from the machine learning, you don't really know how they came to this response. So that is why we have added machine learning to MySQL Heatwave. MySQL Heatwave eliminates the need to move data to a separate machine learning. Now, here's the deal. MySQL created an automated process that makes it easy to build, train your models, your machine learning models. And you can also run it. And when you do, we give you the reason for coming up with this response. Here's how it works. You simply submit a query and you get a prediction and explanation of your model. You can do it from Workbench, or you can put all these SQL calls in your Python, your PHP, your Java application, and it works seamlessly. Not bad, huh? Okay, so I told you about machine learning, being able to run your report without worrying about not getting it done on time, or it's just slow, it dies. Now, I also want to talk to you about another problem we've been having, and MySQL Heatwave takes care of it. The world is facing an unprecedented data growth in files that are not in your database. For example, 1.7 megabytes of data was generated per person per second in 2020 alone. And guess what? We will be doubling that amount by 2025. 80% of that data is generated in files where the database cannot really access it unless you do a lot of extra work to get it into your database. But the deal is, a lot of businesses says, we want to fix this problem. What can you do? And we at MySQL Heatwave heard you. To help you generate more business value from accumulated data that is not in the database, the MySQL team has added MySQL Heatwave Lakehouse to our service offerings. MySQL Heatwave Lakehouse lets your users process and query transactional database data from MySQL database, also from various formats in object storage, and a combination of both. So if you have an Excel spreadsheet or some other, like just a plain old CSV file or so on, you can actually sit there with MySQL Heatwave, and from there, from the object store, it will query it as if it was in your database. And here's the best part. You can merge those data together so you can get the information that you're really looking for. And guess what? Because you have machine learning in there, you can grab that data and do machine learning work for your clients. Okay, I think reason number one is quite compelling. Look at how many important things you can do with MySQL Heatwave and in just one database. This is amazing. But let's go to reason number two. I want you to choose MySQL because we give our customers the right to choose. Why? Because MySQL Heatwave is ready for the distributed cloud. Let me show you. 89% of organizations have multi-cloud strategy. Why? Well, here's the reason. They want to take advantage of cloud providers' unique strength, their flexibility, and the ability to get capacity whenever they want. And also, the most important piece of all, they want to eliminate the single source supplier risk. No problem. If your data is in AWS, here's what we did. If you're running on AWS, the majority of customers using MySQL Heatwave today are migrating from AWS. Did you know that? But while working with these customers, we noticed that if they didn't move all their application to OCI, then they would have to deal with then they would have to deal with high latency. And then on top of that, in order to get the data out of AWS, it costs an enormous amount of money for data egress. In other words, you pay to get your data out of AWS. So then what we said, okay, listen, HeatWave on OCI can be tied to, can connect to MySQL, and MySQL can directly connect to AWS or any other data place. So what we decided to do is we have taken MySQL Heatwave into AWS, literally. So now you can just sit in AWS, just take your data out of Aurora, Redshift, and all these other places and move it to MySQL Heatwave. The migration is very easy. And once that's done, MySQL Heatwave acts like your Aurora or HeatWave database, but it is so much faster. And it didn't cost a penny to move the data out of AWS. Here's the deal. We did our very best to integrate MySQL Heatwave with AWS so that our customers don't have to move all their stuff. They don't have to go to all the trouble and pay all this extra cost to use MySQL Heatwave. And guess what? It's faster and costs a lot less than any AWS database service that exists right now. Okay, so good. If you have your data in AWS, you want to stay there, but you want to use all the wonderful functionalities of MySQL Heatwave, well, guess what? We have made it possible for you. But what about the people who are on Azure? Well, it's a little bit different from Azure. Microsoft says, hey, Oracle, yeah, I think we should share things. Yeah, I think our users should be able to use MySQL Heatwave. Let's have a special connection. We call it Oracle Database Service for MySQL, for Microsoft Azure, ODSA. And what this thing does is people stay. I mean, the customers of Azure stays on Azure, but that connector allows them to go into OCI, create a MySQL Heatwave database instance, and run their application as if it was sitting inside Azure. And the thing is, they don't pay for the connectivity. They only pay for the MySQL Heatwave service that they use. Okay, so we have AWS, we have Azure. What if you don't want to move out of your data center? You have a data, and there are some real government rules or whatever that says you cannot move your data, all your data, to any cloud. It has to stay in-house. Well, guess what? We've made that possible too. If you have data on premise that you want to do analytics with, and you want to use MySQL Heatwave, you also want to do machine learning and everything, we've made it possible for your MySQL database on premise to replicate to MySQL Heatwave on OCI. So whenever you make any changes for the data you want to do your MySQL Heatwave functionalities with, it gets replicated to MySQL Heatwave. So when you do your machine learning, or you do your data lake stuff, or you do your analytic reporting, you get the same data that is on-prem. And it happens fast and at a fraction of the cost. Okay, I've given you a couple more, but what if you say, hey, you know what? No, I don't want this hybrid stuff. I have this great data center. I can afford it. Bring OCI to me with HeatWave. We can do that too. And when we have our next webinar, I will give you so much more details on how this is done. Okay, I've told you reason number one, because we do so many great stuff in one database. I've told you about reason number two, that, hey, all this wonderful, exciting functionality that we have, we'll take it to wherever you need it. Now, let's talk about reason number three, which is important too, saving money. Well, let me show you. We at MySQL Heatwave do a lot of TPCH benchmarking. We benchmark MySQL stuff, we benchmark Aurora, we benchmark RDS, Redshift, all of these other people. And what we do is we take the MySQL Heatwave result that we get and we compare it with the competition. Well, our documented performance comparison shows that MySQL Heatwave is not only faster and costs a lot less, but you save so much money. For example, for Amazon RDS, we run 5,400 times faster for 2/3 of the cost. Yes, 5,400 times faster. For Amazon Aurora, it's 1,400 times faster at half the cost. Those are big numbers, but remember, they're just standard databases that people use, and then they would have to use Redshift in order to do analytics. Well, we did our benchmark against Redshift, 6.8 times faster at half the cost. Now, let's not forget Snowflakes. Snowflake, 6.8 times faster at 1/5 the cost. So the pictures speak for itself. Need I say more? Let's let our partner, even my partner, Infotech, tell you a little bit about themselves, because I have given you enough reason for wanting to move your next product or your current product to OCI, or just let us move MySQL Heatwave to wherever you are. Go ahead.
Thank you, Perside. It was awesome presentation, showcasing the cool features of MySQL, as well as some of the critical reasons why customers should embrace MySQL. So friends, I will showcase you a success story for one of our customers who knew about MySQL features and they embraced it. It's a medical billing company, so they were processing a lot of medical data to do the billing for the customers, their customers and patients. And since they were on a proprietary database, they were facing high license cost, and they were required to upgrade their licenses further. And they were not in position to increase any further cost, and they were looking to in fact optimize their cost. So that's the solution came out, that let's do and convert the proprietary database to MySQL database. But the challenge what they had further was that they did not know how to do the migration, from proprietary to MySQL. They did not know what will be like pre and post migration activities to be done, how to do cutover planning, how to do real-time analysis of load, how to do configuration of the MySQL, whether it is from a optimization or from a security perspective. How would they address the performance issue? So basically, it was a challenge of skill, and that's where they roped in us, and we helped them to migrate to MySQL from the proprietary database. And within that, we were able to configure MySQL to take full advantage of the computes, the memory, and the network. We also looked into the queries and optimized them by checking the execution plans, and of course implementing any workarounds like database links and things. The benefit what they achieved was they not only they were able to maintain the cost, they were able to reduce the cost. So the overall the cost reduction was there. They did not have to spend money upfront. They could go in an OPEX model instead of the CAPEX model. They got an ability to scale up and down in minutes, because typically at month end they had massive workloads which need to be processed, and we were able to achieve a hassle-free cutover. Very clean cutover was there. We did launch in record time, and the end user experience was very, I will say, exceptional. They were able to have better performance than on-premises environment, and everything was in a secured environment of MySQL. So that's how one of our customers who knew about the benefits of MySQL chose that. But let me share how we do it. How do we help our customers to achieve this? Perside, if you can move. Yeah, thank you. So basically, we have our cloud and you, where you as a customer are in cloud. We make that journey in the cloud simple. And cloud and you is nothing but our framework, which is based on standards, which is based on processes and methodologies which have been designed and curated over the last several years. It also includes templates, checklists, controls, scriptings, as well as automation tools which are used underneath all of our framework services pillars. The good part is we are not just a database company, so who can only work on, let's say, MySQL, but we work in other databases, as well as we work on the cloud, so we can help you in the setup of the cloud infrastructure to use MySQL. There would be the database would have application around it. It will have middleware around it. So we can help you with the middlewares and the application. And any enterprise application will not be standalone. It will have it will be integrated with other applications and systems. And we do whole bit of integration services also. So we basically start with the first, I will say, the pillar on our Cloud NU framework, which is assessment. We come in and assess, what's the current situation, what is the requirement, and give you a solution, what could be the future solution, what will be the design and the blueprint to it, and using some of the tools and scripts what we have. And based on that, we prepare total cost of ownership and also give you an ROI and preparing a business case along with the customer, so that the decision taken are in the right way. And then it could be a migration, it could be a new implementation, or it could be a re-implementation. Like in the previous success story, it was like a re-implementation, moving from the proprietary to MySQL database. And then while the implementation or migration is happening, we ensure we put up all the best secure practices, and then also we do the optimization. So we ensure whatever the infrastructure is being used, it has been optimized, from a performance, from a cost perspective, and then post that we go into the support model or the managed support model, and in that also we again use our framework. And while the management is happening, there would be more security and more optimization continuously happening, because security and optimization cannot be a one-time affair. So based on this, using our framework of automation-led, we have successfully done several such cases. We are more than happy to talk about them. We have about 450 plus customers, with 400 specialists. Around half of them would be certified specialists, and then with a collective experience of 4,000 plus man years. Our goal, our motto is getting it right the first time and every time. So with that sum up, if you are having any thoughts to embrace MySQL, do let us know. Do let Path and Oracle team know, and we can help you to decide it by putting up a business case. So let's go to the poll. There's another quick poll. Yeah. So if you are already in planning to adopt MySQL, or if after going through this beautiful presentation by Perside and some of the success stories, if you are thinking that you should be making up your mind, please choose some of the options which are available in front of you. Perfect. So I think we see there are still no plans, and I can understand, but for last 57%. But hopefully, after looking at this presentation, you'll go back and think about it, how to utilize the value, and some percentage of people who are in thinking of the next year or the next quarter, we are more than happy to come and help and take it from there. So giving you back to Perside for the demo. And Perside, we have about 9 minutes, so I think let's take it from there.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and do the demo. All I want to tell you before I do the demo is when you come into OCI, you have access to everything that's on OCI. And so we're going to do our Apex demo. And let me go ahead and talk to you about Apex as I am logging in to the Oracle Cloud. First, I have to go in and log into Oracle Cloud. This is how you do it. I'm going to go ahead and put in my username. And my password. All right, we're in. Perfect. Now, when you come into Oracle Cloud infrastructure and you are ready to do your Apex application using MySQL, the first thing you do is you set up your networking and you set up your compartment. And then you go ahead and create your database. For this application, this demo, I've already created my database. And here's what it looks like. It's a simple database. I gave it the information that I needed. And remember, I told you you can monitor the database. You can do so much just from the OCI console. Here's my created database. After I create my database, the first thing I do is I go ahead and create my connection. Use a connection. Remember, I told you, you can do so much from the OCI console with MySQL in the MySQL Heatwave without leaving OCI. For example, here's one. I just want to show all the databases that are in my instance that I created, my HeatWave instance. I'm going to go ahead and use Sakila so I can do some queries. First of all, I want to know what are the tables in Sakila. Look at this. There's quite a 23 of them. Fine. Okay, I want to do a select statement in Sakila. I'm doing all that from the OCI console. Beautiful. I can do even more, but let's talk about Apex. We're running out of time. So we go back to developer services. You create Apex. I've created my Apex instance already. And all I'm going to do now is launch right there. I haven't gone anywhere. I'm sitting in OCI. Let me put the password. That's my workspace. I created it earlier. And here's the deal. The tool to connect MySQL with Oracle Apex is you go to the utilities, you select web credentials. Here's my credentials that I created. You give it all of the information that's needed to talk to OCI. The ID, the user ID, the tenancy ID, the link to the connector, and of course, your private key. Once you've done that, then you want to go ahead and set up your REST-enabled service. And this REST-enabled service uses the web credentials to connect to MySQL. And by the way, this only works on MySQL Heatwave. Your MySQL has to be in OCI in order to get all those OCI properties, right? Okay, now that you've set up, let's go ahead and quickly build an application. I created one earlier, but let's do this one. I'm going to create a new one. I want to use the world database. So I click on new application, and from new application, all I do is I say, okay, I'm going to create a world application. Okay, and it takes care of everything. It does all of the GUIs for me, all the major framing setup and everything. And now I just want to create a new page. What I want to do is I want to do an interactive report. Wait, oh, I forgot. I got to give it a name. What I want to do is I want the world to list the world countries. So I'm going to call it world countries. And I want to use the REST enabled service that I created earlier. And here's my connector. And here I want to use the tables schema. Remember I showed you all the schemas we had. And what I am going to do is I want to select the country. Watch this. In PHP or Python, I am a coder. You would have to do a whole lot more than what I'm just doing right now. I'm here. My page is done. All I have to do is look at it. I'm going to go ahead and put in my password. Oh, hold on. My page, and it's listing all of my countries. I can do so many things with it. I have all of these options to do things with my page. Perfect. So we're running out of time. I'm just going to go on to the next feature. Let's go ahead. I'm going to close this, and then I'm going to go ahead and close my presentation. I hope that you have learned something new about MySQL Heatwave today. And also, I hope that you will choose MySQL Heatwave. Why? Because MySQL Heatwave is faster, smarter, more automated, and it costs so much less. And I heard that some of you are thinking of joining us on HeatWave. Well, listen, don't do it alone. You should reach out to my partner here, the Oracle partner, my buddy, Path Infotech. We work very close with Path Infotech, and we take very good care of them. And the reason is, it's just so they can really take their time and take extremely good care of you. Make sure your migration to OCI or wherever works, or create your new MySQL Heatwave product with no problem. Remember, Infotech gets it right the first time and all the time. And I'm sure they'll do it for your MySQL Heatwave product. Thank you for hanging out with me today.
Thank you, Perside, for kind words for us, as well as the excellent demonstration. I hope audience would able to see how quickly you can use MySQL database in OCI, how quickly you can use Apex or any other application or a .NET or a Java, and build applications around it. And yeah, I think that's what we have. From the presentation and demo, we have few questions. Perside, let's kind of go through them. The first one, what I can see, is there an option of a hybrid deployment with MySQL Heatwave product?
Yes, that was one of my second reason for using MySQL Heatwave Multicloud, and one of them is you can keep your database on-prem and go ahead and connect to HeatWave. That is a possible, and if you go into the oracle.com/MySQL, we have lots of information about hybrid between Azure, between AWS, and between on-prem.
Absolutely. And in the upcoming webinar series, we'll be talking in detail about how to do this hybrid deployments. So please take a note of this when we send the communication. Moving to the second question, there is an ask about a migration tool for moving data from NoSQL to MySQL.
I use MySQL Shell, and the engineers of MySQL Heatwave recommend that we use MySQL Shell. MySQL Shell rocks. It works fast, it's easy to use, and when we do our presentation, I'll show you how powerful it is.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'll just take one more question. It is how to take a backup of a MySQL database locally for specific compliance and regulatory requirements.
We use replication. I'll show that to you too when we do our next webinar.
Got it, got it. I got just one more question popped up. Can the database service scale as data grows and still maintain high performance?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of those the dashboards what you showcased, right, in terms of price and performance, I think these were the good indicators, right? With a very high volume, the performance and the pricing was way beyond the other competitors.
And on top of that, remember, Oracle uses autopilot for all of its services, including MySQL. And autopilot, you know what it does? It's a machine learning tool. It watches what your system is doing and it takes care of it. And when you're ready to do the scaling, you don't do it by yourself. It tells you, well, this is how much you could, so you don't have to spend too much money. I'll tell you all about that again when we meet.
Awesome. And I think that is again one of the other functionality and feature which Perside would be showcasing in our upcoming webinar series. So I would highly recommend you do join that and watch how that magic happens, how the machine learning helps MySQL also. So really cool. So I think that's all we have have today. We will be wrapping up this session. So thank you everyone for all your time and audience. I hope this was a useful session. If you have any further questions or you need to reach out, you can reach out to ajay.pal@pathinfotech.com, or you can reach out to me, vgupta@pathinfotech.com, and we will be sharing the recording link of this webinar. Once again, thank you for joining, and thank you, Perside, for your time and all the good things what you have shown today. Really appreciate it.
This was a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun. See you guys again.
Everyone. Yeah, absolutely. We'll do it again. Thank you.